You are standing in the vitamin aisle right now, or you were recently, looking at a shelf that goes from floor to ceiling with bottles and capsules and soft gels and chewables, each one promising something your body needs, each one looking equally legitimate, equally scientific, equally trustworthy. And you picked up the ones you always pick up, the ones you have been taking for years, the ones your friend recommended, or your doctor mentioned once in passing, or that you read about in a magazine in a waiting room sometime around 2019. You brought them home, you lined them up next to your morning glass of water, and every single day you swallow them, with the quiet confidence of someone who is doing the right thing for their body. Here is what nobody in that vitamin aisle told you, and what the supplement industry spends enormous resources making sure you never stop to ask. After the age of 60, your body processes certain vitamins in a fundamentally different way than it did at 40. And 4 of the most commonly purchased supplements among adults over 60, vitamins that appear on nearly every senior health recommendation list, are not just ineffective in the aging body. In the specific forms and doses most commonly sold, they are actively working against the health outcomes you are trying to protect. A 2019 analysis published in the Annals of Internal Medicine, reviewing supplement use in over 30,000 American adults, found that certain high-dose vitamin supplementation was associated with increased all-cause mortality in older adults. Increased mortality from vitamins you were told to take. What I am going to show you today are the 4 vitamins that adults over 60 should stop taking in their current form immediately, and the 4 that clinical research consistently shows are genuinely essential for aging bodies and almost universally underconsumed. Stay with me until the very end, because the final vitamin on the must-take list is the one that affects your heart, your brain, your bones, and your immune system simultaneously. And the form most people are taking delivers almost none of it to the tissues that actually need it. If you are currently taking a multivitamin or any individual supplement every morning, and you are not completely certain it is doing what you think it is doing, type the word vitamins in the comments right now, because today, that uncertainty ends. My name is Dr. Elena Cruz. I have spent 26 years working specifically with adults over 60 on nutritional medicine, cellular aging, and the specific ways that supplementation either supports or undermines health in the aging body. I want to be direct with you about something that has bothered me throughout my entire clinical career. The supplement recommendations that most seniors are following today were not developed for seniors. They were developed for general adult populations, tested primarily on younger adults, and then handed to people over 60 with the assumption that what works at 40 works at 70. That assumption is wrong, and the consequences of that wrongness are sitting in medicine cabinets across this country in the form of supplements that well-meaning people are taking every single morning, that are either doing nothing or actively creating problems their doctors are not connecting back to the bottle on the bathroom shelf. Let me start with the physiological foundation, because understanding why supplementation works differently after 60 is essential to understanding everything that follows. After the age of 60, your digestive system produces significantly less stomach acid, a condition called hypochlorhydria that affects an estimated 30 to 40% of adults over 65, according to research published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society. Stomach acid is not just for digestion. It is the primary mechanism by which your body breaks down and absorbs fat-soluble vitamins, activates certain mineral complexes, and converts synthetic vitamin precursors into bioavailable forms your cells can actually use. Less stomach acid means less absorption efficiency across the board, which means the standard doses printed on supplement labels were calculated for a digestive system you no longer have. Simultaneously, your kidneys, which regulate the metabolism and excretion of several key vitamins, lose approximately 1% of their filtering capacity every year after 40, according to National Institute on Aging data. By 65, the average person has lost 20 to 25% of their peak kidney function. This matters enormously for fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, vitamins that accumulate in tissue rather than being flushed out daily, because a less efficient kidney means slower clearance of excess amounts and a significantly higher risk of toxicity at doses that would have been perfectly safe 20 years ago. This is the body that is swallowing your morning supplements, and it changes everything about which ones help and which ones harm. The first vitamin that adults over 60 need to stop taking in its current commonly sold form is vitamin A, specifically preformed vitamin A, also called retinol, which appears in the majority of standard multivitamins and many individual supplements marketed specifically to seniors for eye health and immune support. Most people believe that vitamin A is unambiguously beneficial. It protects your vision, supports your immune system, and maintains healthy skin. All of that is true at appropriate levels. The problem is not vitamin A itself. The problem is the form and the dose that the supplement industry has been selling to aging adults for decades, without adequately communicating the risk that accumulates silently in aging tissue. A landmark study published in the New England Journal of Medicine as far back as 1994 and confirmed by subsequent research in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute in 1996 found that high-dose preformed vitamin A supplementation in older adults was associated with significantly increased risk of hip fracture, liver toxicity, and in smokers, a dramatically increased risk of lung cancer. The fracture risk alone should have changed how vitamin A is sold to seniors permanently. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that postmenopausal women with the highest retinol intake had more than double the hip fracture risk of women with lower intake. Double. From a supplement sitting in the senior health section of every pharmacy in the country, I want to tell you about a woman named Constance. 68 years old, retired librarian, living in Scottsdale, Arizona. Constance had been taking a senior multivitamin every morning for 11 years. The same brand, the same formula, chosen specifically because the label said it was designed for adults over 50. She had also been taking a separate vitamin A supplement for eye health on the recommendation of an article she had read about macular degeneration prevention. Her ophthalmologist had never specifically advised against it. Her general practitioner had never asked what supplement she was taking at her annual physical. For 4 years, Constance had been experiencing increasing bone density loss that her physician attributed to postmenopausal changes. Nobody looked at her supplement shelf. When Constance came to my clinic and we reviewed her complete supplementation history, the combined preformed vitamin A from her multivitamin and her individual supplement was significantly exceeding the safe upper limit for her age group every single day. We discontinued both sources immediately. Within 8 months, her bone density stabilized for the first time in 4 years. The second vitamin that adults over 60 need to reconsider immediately is calcium supplementation. And I want to be very precise here, because this is the one that generates the most pushback and the most confusion. And the distinction I am about to make is one that could genuinely protect your heart for the rest of your life. Most seniors have been taking calcium supplements for decades on the direct advice of their physicians. The logic is straightforward and has been repeated so consistently that it has become medical common sense. Your bones lose density after 60. Calcium builds bone, therefore, take calcium. That logic is not wrong about the relationship between calcium and bone. What it misses entirely is what happens to supplemental calcium in an aging cardiovascular system. A meta-analysis published in the British Medical Journal in 2010 involving over 12,000 participants found that calcium supplementation without adequate vitamin K2 was associated with a 30% increased risk of heart attack in older adults. 30%. The mechanism was identified in subsequent research published in the journal Thrombosis and Hemostasis. Calcium that cannot be properly directed into bone tissue by vitamin K2-dependent proteins circulates in the bloodstream and deposits in arterial walls instead, contributing directly to the arterial calcification that drives cardiovascular disease in aging adults. You were taking calcium to protect your bones. Without K2, a significant portion of it was hardening your arteries. I want to tell you about a man named Theodore, 71 years old, retired high school principal, living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Theodore had been taking 1,000 milligrams of calcium carbonate every day for 9 years on his doctor's recommendation, following a bone density scan that showed early osteopenia. His cardiovascular checkups had always been reassuring, until they were not. At 69, Theodore's cardiologist identified significant coronary artery calcification on a routine CT scan that had not been present 4 years earlier. Theodore was placed on statin medication and told this was a common finding in men his age. Nobody connected his 9 years of daily calcium supplementation to the arterial calcification now requiring pharmaceutical management. When Theodore came to my clinic, we discontinued his calcium carbonate immediately and replaced it with calcium in combination with vitamin K2 as MK7 at 100 micrograms daily and magnesium glycinate at 300 milligrams nightly. His follow-up arterial assessment 18 months later showed no further progression of calcification for the first time in years. Before I tell you the 4 vitamins you absolutely must take daily after 60, I want to pause for just one moment. If someone you love is taking calcium supplements every morning without vitamin K2 alongside it, please share this video with them right now. Not for this channel, because Theodore's story is happening in medicine cabinets everywhere, and it does not have to. Now let me give you the 4 vitamins that adults over 60 genuinely must take daily, the ones that aging bodies consistently underabsorb from food alone, and that clinical research shows produce measurable protective effects in the specific biological systems most vulnerable after 60. The first is methylcobalamin, the active form of B12 I have discussed in detail in previous videos, at 1,500 micrograms sublingually every morning on an empty stomach. Not cyanocobalamin, methylcobalamin specifically. The second is vitamin D3, combined always with vitamin K2 as MK7, because D3 without K2 creates the same arterial calcification risk I just described with calcium. The dose that produced measurable immune, bone, and cardiovascular protection in adults over 60 in research published in the journal Nutrients was between 2,000 and 4,000 IU of D3 paired with 100 micrograms of K2 MK7 taken with your fattiest meal of the day for maximum absorption. The third is magnesium glycinate at 300 milligrams taken at night. Because magnesium deficiency affects an estimated 70% of adults over 60, according to research published in the journal Nutrients in 2018, and influences over 300 enzymatic processes, including sleep quality, blood pressure regulation, and insulin sensitivity. The fourth and most important, the one that affects your heart, your brain, your bones, and your immune system simultaneously, is omega-3 fatty acids in the form of pharmaceutical-grade fish oil, providing at least 2 grams of combined EPA and DHA daily. Not flaxseed oil, not standard fish oil capsules with unverified potency, molecularly distilled pharmaceutical-grade omega-3 with EPA and DHA content clearly labeled and confirmed. When you visit your doctor next, say these exact words. I would like to review my current supplement regimen specifically for age-appropriate forms and doses, and I would like to discuss testing my vitamin D, magnesium, and B12 functional levels rather than just serum levels. That sentence tells your physician you are informed, engaged, and not willing to continue a supplementation routine that was designed for a body 20 years younger than the one you are living in today. Constance's bone density has been stable for 3 consecutive years since discontinuing preformed vitamin A. Theodore's arterial calcification has shown no further progression in 18 months. Neither of them needed new medications. Neither of them needed expensive procedures. They needed someone to look honestly at what was already in their medicine cabinet and explain what each bottle was actually doing to a body that had changed in ways the original recommendations never accounted for. Your body is not failing you. The advice you were given simply never kept pace with what research has learned about aging biology in the last 20 years. That changes today. Like this video, subscribe, and share it with one person in your life who lines up supplements every morning and has never had a single conversation with their doctor about whether those specific forms and doses are still appropriate for their age. And tell me in the comments, what supplements are you currently taking and what made you start taking them? I read every single answer, and I want to understand what this community has been told across the years.